Hello, I'm Brigantia Blackbird of the Blackbird Grimoire. Welcome to the daily forecast for Tuesday, December 3rd, 2024. It is the 13th of Sagittarius and it is the day of elves. And didn't I find us a little cutie pie to admire today? In our astrology, the sun is in Sagittarius, mutable fire, representing adventure. The moon is first quarter Capricorn, cardinal earth, representing tradition. Mercury is retrograding in Sagittarius, mutable fire, representing travel disruptions. Venus is in Capricorn, cardinal earth, which is to be reserved. Mars is in Leo, fixed fire, representing focus. Jupiter is retrograding in Gemini, mutable air, which is to broaden perspective. Saturn is in Pisces, mutable water, representing nostalgia. Uranus is retrograding in Taurus, fixed earth, representing rebellion. Neptune is retrograding in Pisces, mutable water, which is spiritual awakenings. And Pluto's in Aquarius, fixed air, representing reformation. For our retrograde reminders, for Mercury, rethink your communication patterns. For Jupiter, reconnect with your true path. Uranus, reconsider how you rebel. Neptune, reclaim your magic. And Chiron, restore the heroic spirit. Our moon is a waxing crescent, so think nurture yourself and nurture your new ideas. And the theme of the Capricorn moon is sobriety and discipline, so having a more sober outlook and being a lot more focused upon just getting your work done. That will help you out today. So, on that note, keep your goals front and center. The energy from Mars is really enhancing your ability to focus, and the waxing Capricorn moon, absolutely ideal for the completion of tasks. Plus, it's a Tuesday, and so Tuesdays are always very focused upon work and accomplishing things anyway. So, this is all aligning and weaving together rather beautifully. So, work steadily. But not to exhaustion. I try to refrain from stepping on toes because there is a bit of a danger of a diminished tact. So if you find yourself moving in that direction, just kind of restrain yourself a little bit. Keep focused upon what needs to be accomplished, and that it isn't necessary to antagonize people in order to get things done. So just a few things to bear in mind as you go through your day. Our tarot for the day is the King of Good Cheer. Kings represent stoicism, stability, authority, and being established. And the suit of Good Cheer aligns with the suit of Cups and the water element. And the keywords for this card are diplomatic, caring, and wise. And you see, he's in the kitchen. He's taking care of a few things, making himself a little drink. He's been working on the proverbial ship bottle project, and just he's just kind of going about his affairs, but he's also available. He's looking right at us. It's almost as if we are talking to him and he's actually listening and paying attention. We all know the difference when some we're talking to someone and they're like, okay, and they're listening, but they're not really listening. That is not the vibe that we are getting from the King of Good Cheer. He actually is taking it all in. He is interested and he wants to be involved in that process, even if that process is just hearing you, even if that's all that it amounts to. He still wants to be fully present for that. And that's a good thing for us to keep in mind today. Are we actually present for people? If we're listening to them, are we just thinking about what we're going to say in response? Or are we actually absorbing what they have to say to us? How do we treat people when they're unburdening themselves? When we're going about through life, are we choosing to be more diplomatic or are we just choosing rudeness because it's easier? Diplomacy takes effort, and of course, we also have to contend with the people who are very critical of all diplomacy, who consider it to be fake or to be inauthentic in some fashion, or just they have some kind of criticism for it. It's not always easy to balance these things out. So, are we choosing to take on that challenge? Are we choosing to be a caring person for the people who matter? Are we actually trying to act with wisdom? It's We can't memorize it. We can't pass a test on wisdom. It's only going to come about through actually learning lessons and putting those lessons into practice. That is the only way wisdom is really acquired. So, are we willing to go to that effort? So, there's some interesting counsel and challenges that this card presents for us today. Today's Celtic Triad reads three qualities which show wisdom: suffering discreetly, forgiving injury, and seeking knowledge. So, discrete suffering. Not putting all of your anguish front and center all of the time. That is actually a display of maturity and having a sense of proportion. There is nobility in fortitude. I know it's not fashionable, but maybe we could make it so. Of not actually making the things that have gone wrong in our life, or the things that have hurt us, being the absolute focus of every area of our life. Because let's be honest, the people who do that, they are perpetuating their injuries, they are perpetuating their pain, they are making sure that it stays alive instead of actually allowing themselves to recover. Not making displays of our suffering, not only is that good manners, it's actually very healthy for us. And then forgiving injury. If all we ever do is get back at anyone who ever caused us difficulty, we would never accomplish anything else and would make for a world that is even more antagonistic than it already is. I don't think we need more of that. So what if we're it's not about forgiving injury for people who have outright malicious intent, they're really wanting to do us injury. This is about forgiving those, who hurt us, they didn't mean to, they didn't intend it. Maybe we were actually being hypersensitive and we shouldn't have really been holding it against them. Being a bit more reasonable in these dealings. Not everyone is actually out to get us. Even if someone actually did really mortify our feelings, perhaps that was just a product of them being honest to us. And maybe our feelings are hurt because we heard something really true about ourselves that we didn't want to hear. And maybe the injury is a little bit more self-inflicted because we were faced with an unvarnished reality, perhaps a reality that we had a carefully crafted illusion to prevent ourselves from seeing. So the person injuring us, were they really injuring us, or have we been injuring ourselves? That's another thing to think about. And then seeking knowledge. Because no matter how much we learn, there's always more that we don't know, and curiosity is a very good thing. And it's wise to seek out to improve our understanding of the world. Next up, our correspondence collection is centered on the idea of creativity. The color is red. The plant is the carnation. The animal's the cardinal, and the crystal is the ruby. Red is strongly associated, among other things, with the vitality of the life force. So that is the very essence of the act of creation. With carnations, I'm not as up on the lore on them, but I do know that they kind of stimulate creative energies a little bit. Cardinal as well. And this, of course, I think is tied in with the creativity of survival because they're one of those winter birds that actually stick around throughout the season, which can't be an easy life for them, but they figure it out. So if we're going through difficulties, that's an animal totem that perhaps we could pay a little bit of attention to because if they can create ways out of the difficulties of their lives, so can we. And with the rubies, and you can find tumbled rubies, and rubies are much less expensive than anything you might find in the line of jewelry. So just word to the wise about that. There's something very stimulating about rubies. I really, really enjoy them. I would have had a husband unit get me a ruby for my engagement ring, only with my first marriages, the ruby was my engagement ring. So I felt like it would be bad luck to repeat that, so which is why I don't have a ruby today. But it is a stone that I've always really enjoyed wearing, really enjoyed working with, just because it's very stimulating and stimulation to the thinking process that of course also stimulates our creative process. So if your muse has been slacking, you can use a few of these energetic correspondences to put a little bit of jolt into your process, and maybe that'll be just the kind of metaphorical coffee that your muse needs. For today's hearthkeeping hint, desk organization. Between the to-do list, the brainstorming plans, and for the season and paying bills, this is really no time to let your home office get out of control. You can make use of boxes and jars to keep like items with like. These can be actually rather pretty, or they could be, random boxes that you have lying around. If they're not aesthetically pleasing and you don't want a bunch of cardboard around, you can use wrapping paper, you can use contact paper, you could paint them. There's just a variety of things that you can do to make it a little bit more aesthetically pleasing, or at least where they don't stand out as much. And as far as jars go, your spaghetti sauce jars, used up candles, any kind of jar, if it can, be useful to hold something on the desk, you can absolutely make use of that. And trays is another thing, because you think, well, I've got a lot of boxes and jars, and yeah, it's contained the things, but they're just all over the place. Having a tray that actually keeps all those things contained is another layer of organization that can help you. And of course, remember to smudge your computer screen. That really is a very important thing because all of the computers, they are a way for us to access the world. So all of the energy of the world can come through them. So we should be choosy about what we allow through. We should cleanse it regularly. And of course, we should also cleanse ourselves in the process of that. And honestly, refreshing the energy wherever you have your home office or a desk or wherever your designated place is to take care of the business of your household, keeping the energy of that place fresh is only going to be to your benefit. Then for today's practice, the winter solstice is associated with the birth of Mithras, Lu, and Balder. And those are just a few. Do your own research to see what other associations there are. Today's a day to really focus and hone in on those tasks, as we discussed earlier. Today's archetype is the winter warrior. What comes to your mind when you see this image? It's a very striking image, so you should. I hope it. I hope it gives you a few thoughts to contemplate. Then for today's meditation, the challenges of the cold. And thinking about these things is not about putting us in a state of dread, it's just allowing us to. The room to actually think about these things and then get serious about what we're planning to do about them to meet those challenges. And then you might carry or wear some bloodstone today. Then today's creative quarter, it's all about the foyer or the entryway, wherever your front door is. Even if it's just opening up immediately into your living room, that's still the entry. And it still sets the tone for all of your Yuletide cheer. So even if you aren't expecting any guests throughout the season, it's still worth adding a little something, even if it's just a seasonal aromatic candle, just add a little bit of something to the scene. The entry is also an ideal place for protective and seasonal charms, which you can combine them in your own workings. So have fun with it. You don't have to have a foyer as grand as this one in the picture, but you can make it nice. And of course, you can don't be slacking upon your protective and your seasonal charms. There's a lot of energy that's going to and fro. And of course, we still have the wild hunt coming up. So just don't be slacking on that. Then for today's journal prompt, list all of the goals you've accomplished this year. Some, I forgot what month it is, but I got out of the habit of nagging people about their New Year's resolutions from the previous year. But still think about all the things you've accomplished. Pat yourself on the back for it. Be glad of what you've done. And also, I found this nice little inspiration bucket list page that's have a holly jolly Christmas. It's a lot of fun ideas. The tradition of making dried orange garlands, baking Christmas cookies, getting cozy with the movies, making hot cocoa, uh, doing reading Christmas stories, wearing the fuzzy socks and having the huge sweaters. Oh, I love those. Sending cards to your loved ones, lighting fires where you can, making simmer pots, hanging and making wreaths. Just fun, quiet, low energy things that can make your evenings really, really cozy. And these can be all part of your goals because if you're looking back on the year and thinking, well, I didn't do even half of what I really intended to do. You can set some small, reasonable goals for the season going ahead, and you can add that to your list of things. I wanted to do this thing and I did this thing. These don't have to be big goals. These are not saving the planet and changing the world kind of goals. These are small, reasonable things that are absolutely within your own power to do. So focus in on that if you've been struggling with attaining goals this year. So, on that note, everyone, have a magical day. I wish you bright blessings and all of the joys of the season. Come back tomorrow for the next edition. Let me know in the comment section what you thought of this one, and I will see you then. Bye for now.